Do you ever remember when we were young, when anyone and everyone's dream was to become rich and famous and own 100 homes, the whole world under your thumb? Back then, being filthy, stinking rich meant something completely different. It meant thinking, which country shall I buy a home in next? Which sundry fun thing shall I or my friends try or own at my own expense? And now, being rich just means owning a house of your own, or a flat or a studio you can call home, and not spending your whole life down and out with a debt of £30,000 to someone you'll never know, for the privilege of being allowed to live, learn and grow. So excuse me if I don't clap my hands and use what voice I have to stand and celebrate celebrities and CEOs and royal whoever's who have been elevated over you and me by mountains of cash that they don't need, and swoon when they donate the proceeds of an hour's work to charity. Just because an hour of work from one of the 1% will earn them more than you've ever spent doesn't make their donation any more thoughtful or generous than yours. In a world where every donation is evident, Mark 12:41 is incredibly relevant. Because honestly, I don't care if they donated 1,000 or 1,000,000. Their donation was going spare. And before they let scraps fall from their table, you can bet those chaps were all financially stable. So instead of respect to every top celebrity, the big shot show-off who drops $1 million they don't need, respect to the pennies put in a box that, for all any watcher may or may not know, could have been the price of a ride or dinner tomorrow night. Mark Oldroyd in 1894 told us all of the idea of a living wage worth fighting for, that any man, however poor in wealth or wisdom, for no more than the exertion of his utmost effort, ought to be paid enough that with only his wage he could support himself, his home and family. And frankly, that don't sound bad to me. In fact, in 1909, Churchill himself took the line that it was a serious national evil for any class or subject to receive less than a living wage in return for his or her utmost exertions. Somehow, since 1909, over 100 years have gone by, and what once would have outraged the vast majority of the working class as a serious national evil, society's moral debt, is something we've all come to accept. When did we let ourselves all get convinced a roof over our head, enough food and time to bask in peace was too much to ask? Imagine an economy that paid by the sweat of your back and the words in your brain. Imagine for a second the only way into debt was a lack of imagination, and there was a direct correlation between your wealth and how hard you worked from day to day. There'd be no way for me or anyone else to exert themselves, no way for anyone to become as rich as the rich are today. The problem can be condensed to this: being poor costs more. Living's a lot more expensive when everything's short term. There's no lesson the poor haven't learned. They know investments will shore up their earnings. They know it's cheaper to buy than to rent. They know realistically $5 spent right could save them $50 a year down the line, but they don't have $5. Despite holding a degree with honours in the Captain Vimes Boots theory of socioeconomics. If you want solutions, let me be honest, don't look at me yet, because now all I've got is not something useful but a whole lot of what if. What if we taxed people based on their wealth? What if we capped the price of essential items like food, water, shelter, health insurance, education? Or else I'm sure as hell that making laws that help the poor will make the floor rise for everyone. The question is why? Why would they who made this system to assist them make the system any different? Those lucky few with the power to change have most to lose and naught to gain. The gap between rich and poor is set, while money makes money and debt makes debt.